the Labour leader, the Chancellor of the Exchequer, and even the Prime Minister. Why are they all so scared of Farage? In 2014 and 2015, Nigel Farage's UKIP party started to gain such momentum it forced David Cameron into holding the EU referendum. David Cameron, who was leader of the Conservative Party at that stage, had already suffered 2 or 3 defections to UKIP. And so to stop the bleeding, he wrapped a tourniquet of an EU referendum around their 2015 manifesto. Now, through a mix of largely subservient, compliant and awful media and his natural gift of the gab, Farage proved to be deadly with his knack for dismissing awkward questions, brushing aside his allegedly racist past, and rallying people stupid enough to fall for right-wing populism, which, unfortunately for Cameron, was a large subset of his electorate. And that was just the first pillar. Farage is also tight with Murdoch. After the referendum, and as it became clear the disaster that Brexit was always going to be, Nigel stood down as UKIP leader. Theresa May, who was Prime Minister at that point, was probably breathing a sigh of relief. But for CCHQ, that turned out to be a brief respite, as Farage's new outfit, the Brexit Party, began to apply pressure once again. In fact, to my mind, it is inarguable that the only reason Boris Johnson was able to lay claim to an 80-seat majority was because the Brexit Party cut a deal at the very last minute. Now, what was in the deal? Well, probably something to do with a hard Brexit, something to do with no single market, no customs union, maybe later reneging on the deal. But the point is, twice in a row, with his 2 political parties, Farage has been able to drag the political discourse into a direction of his choosing without ever having been elected. This is an individual who commands such political gravity, such informal power and influence. He's managed to turn his own consumer challenges with his bank account into front page news for the last 6 weeks. And what Starmer, Sunak and Jeremy Hunt all know, and what the resignation of the CEO of an international bank tells us, is that this is a guy you do not want challenging you in the run-up to a general election. Because on the face of it, having this story come out, where it is a story about a person experiencing banking challenges, having their Coots account shut down, having their personal information go out into the public domain, that is the sort of story that political leaders should respond with, well, I don't know an awful lot about it, but I wish Mr. Farage the best with his personal affairs. But because none of them want to pickle his onions, and even fewer want to receive a list of demands for things that he wants to see injected into their manifestos, even though they probably despise him, they'll all do their very best to hide that contempt behind their cowardice.